have ADD and that ADD happens to take over all aspects of your life, even when it comes to your projects, and you keep taking on more projects, or you're sitting around because it's been raining all week and everything that you wanted to do that week is an outside project. So you scroll through Marketplace and look at things that you do not need to own. And you find that one project that you don't need to own at all pops up, but it's a really good deal. Probably not the best deal 6 or 7 years ago, but in 2024, it's a killer deal. You gotta have it. Can't get it out of your mind. So you call up your boy. Hey man, it's almost 8 o'clock at night. You want to drive to a different state and basically drive a project home that runs really rough, but it's really cool looking in your mind. Maybe not a lot of people's minds, but that's what happened this week. I bought a bunch of parts for this. Oh, and this is Virginia's Flowriders, and my name's Crawford. Forgot to add that in there. I bought a bunch of parts for the Mazda project, which is what we normally work on here lately. But turns out some of them are the wrong size, some of them don't look good on the truck, and some of them showed up really late. So we're not going to get a chance to actually get anything done on the project we've been chipping away at. Well, we got a pretty good amount of stuff done the last couple of weeks. Got the stereo done last week. We got a lot of random things, and the truck is doing pretty good. It runs and drives and goes down the road all by itself. As long as you're holding the steering wheel, it's been doing pretty well. We have like 60 something videos on this truck, just this truck alone, and there's a lot of projects to come. And this week we're going to be adding another one to that list of things that I did not need to buy, but it would be really cool when it's done. So I got a message on Instagram the other day from somebody that I've known for a really long time, and he said, hey man, there's some hydraulic pumps in the back of a Cadillac at the local pick-a-part. You should go check them out. I didn't see that message for like a week, and then I figured, well, they're gone. I mentioned it to my buddy Delonte that's been wanting to build a lowrider for a very long time, but we need to do it on a budget. So he said, let's go. Just go check it out. Even though 2 weeks have gone by, let's just take the chance and see if they're there. So I'm going to be adding in some footage of that, and crazy deal, because I bought a lot of hydraulics in my life and I've never gotten a deal like that. So I will be adding that footage in. I think this will be the only junkyard hydraulic setup that we ever come across. Pull the red line off. This one? We don't want to have to be charging us for stuff we don't need.
Oh, you ain't wrong.
Facts.
Because as soon as you say it, I'm like, hold on, let me grab this. I think it's a 13.
Yeah, I think so. Is it the metric side or the standard side?
Both.
Oh, this one says China.
It's
Both sides. Never mind, we're good.
That's a universal.
It's universal? Okay. That's why it was more expensive.
Man, somebody about to get an Evo set up for cheap.
So this should be
Not even lying.
probably a 14 underneath. There's 2 bolts underneath that hold the pump to the rack. Hopefully it goes well, because the man told us that he'll charge us smog pump prices for these because they don't have a price listing for hydraulic pumps. So if that works out, we're going to pay 60 bucks for 2 pumps. And hopefully they're good. They look pretty good. They're not all beat up. They look fixable at least. Got a little spit shine on there. Let's see what happens. 63.69, 2 cc's. Rang up his smog pumps or whatever the guy came up with. Didn't care at all. Delonte's going to be going up and down before we even know it. We'll get back into what I was rambling about before I got distracted like I do. So the plan was to get some stuff done on the truck this week, but it didn't work out. I ordered a roll of PETG off Amazon, and it showed up way later than I thought, and I couldn't get the roll to my buddy Rodney so he could have the speaker grills printed out. I showed these last week. I put my little logo on there. We printed off a test one out of PLA. This stuff apparently will melt in the sun, so we're not going to run this, and hopefully he'll have the other ones maybe knocked out this week so we can get those installed. And then I ordered a grill for the sub, and it matches perfectly to the texture and design of the little grills that everybody liked that I put on the back speakers. but it's like a 1/4 inch too small. Then last week I had mentioned that I was going to do a custom air cleaner setup. I got the air cleaner in, and I really like the air cleaner. It looks cool, but after seeing it on the engine, it doesn't look very cool on the engine. Everything on this truck is kind of square, and I was hoping that this would have a little less of a conical shape and be more like a round one, like an OEM style, but it's not, and it looks kind of goofy. It looks out of place because everything in the engine bay, we were going for some older 80s looking type stuff, and this just looks too new. It looks out of place, so I'll just save that for another project. So all of the things that I had planned on doing to the Mazda aren't going to happen this week. And like I said, that ADD thing and marketplace thing, it really got me. It really cornered me and hit me with a bat or something. It's terrible. I've been really, really good. I'm just throwing it out there. I've been great about not buying tons of new projects. But again, a lot of y'all will understand exactly what I mean, because a lot of y'all message me and tell me that this is what you go through too. So looking around on Marketplace, I found something that I've been wanting to buy for years. I have always wanted a relatively rust-free Ford Ranger square body, and I really wanted I don't remember the exact year range, like 89, 91, with the little F-150 grill. That is, to me, I'm a Mazda guy. I've had a lot of Mazdas. To me, this is like the best looking mini truck because it's literally a miniature version of the F-150 in my mind. But this is what we picked up. It is a 90 Ford Ranger XLT, and it is fully loaded. It is in pretty decent shape for being a full-on pappy truck. I'm pretty sure that the guy I bought it from probably flips cars, because I get the sense of he bought this, and also he hadn't transferred it into his name. I get the sense of he bought it, probably didn't plan on keeping it. He got it running. It still runs rough. It doesn't run perfect, but I did drive it home almost like 35 miles, I think, which isn't crazy. But for something that clearly has been sitting for a long time, this needs some love. When you pull the gas cap off, it reeks of old gas. Like, clearly been sitting. It looks like it's been power washed, and there's, like, around all the edges, you can see all that goop that gets collected on vehicles that have been sitting for a long time. But overall, it's in great shape. Their quarter panels aren't rotted out. It has like the lightest bit of surface rust starting here and there, like just this little bit, and there's some of that on the front fender. It has dings. There's dents like this. That's all fixable stuff. And most likely, I'm gonna keep on rocking the pappy look with the camper and the bug guard even after it goes up and down, because I think this thing is awesome looking. I love the fact that it's full-on pappy mode with the original. Like, you can clearly tell this has been on here probably since it was new. The bed floor is perfect. There isn't a ding or a gouge in this floor. It's dirty, obviously. There's no scratches in here from this thing being used as a truck. It's immaculate. It has the rubber thing that you get when you buy these back in the day. It's awesome. My buddy Jared is the resident Ranger guy. He's had like 20 of them over the years. From what he tells me, this thing, it's got all the bells and whistles that you want in a Ranger. Even though a lot of it's going to get removed because there's no room for what I need to do with that stuff there. Interior, carpet's dirty, but the seat, after being cleaned and getting the goop from Pappy's wife's perm juice off of the seat, it's pretty good. The seat's not all ripped up. Everything can be cleaned. It has AC, power steering, cruise control on a manual, 5-speed, tilt column, electric windows, the Premier fancy high-tech Ford factory Premier audio system, which those things are actually kind of cool, and it would have been awesome if I had those 2 weeks ago when we were putting the Mazda together, because I probably would have used them, because that is some high quality late 80s, early 90s stuff there. I know that back in the day, motor choices when it came to mini trucks mattered because people were daily driving them and people were, I don't know, it doesn't matter to me. If as long as it drives down the road and does it okay without billowing smoke and it doesn't sound obnoxious and terrible, I'm okay with it. Now that being said, it has the 2.9 in it, which I know a lot of people aren't a fan of, but I'll just say the 2.9 in this is significantly faster than the Mazda. This feels like a race car compared to the Mazda. Overall, it's in pretty good, decent shape. Like I said, it's got some dings, but it's 35 years old or whatever that may be, because I don't do math. It's got a little bit of surface rust there. It has the Premier dry rotted Kelly Explorer tires that I couldn't do over 50 miles an hour on the way home. And James, following behind me in my Lincoln, said that was the longest travel he's ever had down that road, because anything above 50 miles an hour, it really felt like that tire was going to just come off the truck. But the guy did do a lot of work to the truck. He went through and did plugs, wires, cap, rotor, injectors, fuel pressure regulator, all kinds of random little things, a coil, and a bunch of things that I haven't even noticed yet. But it still runs a little rough. So we need to get it running, which is not going to be a today thing. I need to make a pretty extensive rock auto order, because if y'all know, anything that's old, that's electric windows, it's just not going to work. My Caprice 87, whatever that thing is, window regulators, they just turn into crumbly garbage. Same thing with this. You can get the driver's window to go down, it doesn't want to come back up. So there's a lot of things, like the floppy mirror that didn't work the entire way home, and it was just kind of doing this going down the street, and the same thing with the other side while I was pointing at the sky. I had to take the door panel off it yesterday just to get the window to go back up, and I didn't even fully accomplish that. But overall, this thing is really cool, and I'm extremely happy with the purchase. I know what you're asking. I can already tell. Why on earth would you buy another project when you have the Ranchero, the Model A, the van? We're going to get back to the van, promise. You have all of these things, and the Caprice and the Crown and the whatever. Well, the answer is to that, I have a problem, and I just like buying cars and mini truck. I don't think we need to really have an excuse to buy another mini truck. We built the channel off mini truck content, so more mini truck content is always good, right? With this mini truck and content, I want to go a little bit different route. I have always wanted a bagged and body drop Ranger. Just putting that out there. That has been the goal of mini trucking forever. To me, square body Rangers is where it's at. Square body Rangers to me is awesome. Again, miniature pickup truck. It's literally a miniature mini truck version. I don't know. With that being said, I've always wanted a bagged and body drop one. What I've always really, really wanted to build, because I'm a lowrider guy, and I put hydraulics on everything that I own until I got the Mazda, and y'all know. If you went back and watched all the videos, y'all know I'm not a bag guy. It had bags on it, so I fixed it and I kept the bags on it. What I've really always wanted to build was a hopper, and I think, especially after meeting Magic Man Metal Fab Jason, which he was sponsored by CCE back in the day, and he built hoppers back in the day. One of his hoppers was a Ford Ranger. After speaking with him about that, that kind of sealed the deal of that's exactly what I want to do. I want to build this truck into a hopper. With that being said, on the hopper thing, we're still going to be doing all of the normal mini trucking things when it comes to this, as far as installing things that make it go up and down and making it basically closest to the ground as possible. Except for at the very end, I'm going to put spokes on it. It's probably going to have Dayton's. I have Dayton's in the shed, and it's probably going to get Dayton's on it. Because as much as I think that these things look awesome body dropped, I think they look pretty awesome with spokes on them. I know that not a lot of people are into that side of mini trucking because it kind of dips into the lowrider side, but they're literally the same. The only thing is at the end, one is very aggressive when it goes up and down, which we're going to get into the Caprice today. We need to fix the Caprice for that show. That car, not aggressive, rides like stock. It's awesome, and that's how I usually build my lowriders. I don't usually build them to hop. So that's what I would like to do with this. So we're going to do something that I've never done. It's going to be aggressive. I want it to bang off the rear bumper, basically, is what I'm getting at. This thing needs to do that. As much as it would kill me to tarnish this, probably the nicest inside of a bed that I've ever owned on any truck that I've ever owned, this is going to hopefully be a very large row of batteries and 3 to 4 pumps. Probably around 8 to 10 batteries in the bed, 4 pumps. And I want this thing to be, again, I want it to be a hopper. I want it to be radical. I want it to be like the opposite of what the Mazda is, because the Mazda is smooth and it goes up and down slowly and it's comfortable. This needs to be aggressive. I want it to, one hit of the switch, come off the ground a little bit. That's what we're looking for. It's going to be a few months. I'm going to hold off. I got to stack some parts. I got some pumps. It's another one of those things. Got a lot of projects, and that's what holds me back. And we'll get into the van a little bit. Hopefully y'all will enjoy the little Ranger getting cut up soon. I'm going to say we're going to put a time on it. Probably the beginning of the year. We're already creeping up on the end of the year pretty quickly. Probably the beginning of the year, we're going to start cutting into that guy. So I know y'all are also thinking, why aren't we doing the van yet? You said something a couple weeks ago about not having the money for the transmission and stuff. So I don't know how y'all's minds work, but with mine, I try to work off deals. I try to find something that's not going to break the bank and it's budget minded. I don't get crazy YouTube money, and this is budget minded. So I have a 383 for this. I need heads, cams, lifters, all of the things for the top end. I need a transmission, drive shaft, all of those things. So drive shafts later on, of course. But with that said, I'm trying to find a deal on a transmission that can handle a 383 with a little tiny bit of horsepower and some heads to get away from, to basically make all of the other parts that I have. I have an intake and carb and all of the other things. I need those to fit this. So we've been waiting on some deals to pop up, and that's why we go to things like Hershey and Carlisle to find deals at swap meets. So in the next few weeks, we're going to do the things that don't cost money yet to the van. I want to take the engine out of it. I want to start cutting the front wheel tubs out of it and getting everything stripped in the center and ready for the time when it can go in the garage. And speaking about going in the garage, I would really like to do that when I start having more parts to put on the van, because I don't want to put the van in there and it gets stuck in the garage because I'm waiting for so-and-so suspension pieces. It's like I want to get, my garage is very small and it's very hard to get big bulky things like that in and out of the garage because my yard is a hell. But we're stacking parts. We showed the wheels. We're already covered on the wheels. We got some old school hammers for it. We started cutting the floor out, and that's the plan. I want to continue to cut this out, cut the wheel tubs and everything, and getting all of this ready to go. That way when I do find the parts that I need, we can bring it in and hopefully knock it out. This shouldn't be nearly as long of a project as the Mazda, and same thing with the Ranger. The Mazda, very long, intensive project because I wanted to keep an era, which I've never done. I wanted to keep the 80s, 90s feel to it. I've literally never kept an era style build, and I learned that takes way more time and way more money because it's really hard to source parts like that. The van is going to get a sheet metal floor, bead rolled, smooth tubs, and like all of the normal mini trucking type things or trucking type things, because we don't have to follow any kind of guide. It doesn't have to stay in this specific thing. Same thing with the Ranger. The Ranger's going to go up and down, but I don't really care what style and things that the Ranger gets. I would like to keep the Pappy look, but outside of that, I really don't care. So we're going to get on the van in the next few weeks. I want to pull the engine, trans, and start cutting that up. Today, so we have some kind of progress, we need to get the Caprice to go up and down. As of right now, the Caprice is not functioning. Don't mind the rat poop because this car sits and they love to sleep in it. As of right now, nothing in the front and the rear is functioning properly. So I went ahead and ordered a full set of AccuMax solenoids. If you're not familiar with lowriders, these things tell everything what to do. So we need to go ahead and get some solenoids swapped out, see if we can get the front to go up and down. We're gonna put this thing on charge, and hopefully by the end of the week, it's fully charged. I trickle charge everything and it makes batteries last for a very, very long time. So I'll be showing all of that. And I just gotta stop rambling because feel like I've been rambling for like 35 minutes. We're just gonna try and get some work done. Hopefully the rain holds off while we're doing this. So this is what we're working with on the Caprice. I put the Caprice together in 2019 and I haven't done anything to the Caprice since 2019. If you ever have any doubts when people tell you hydraulics aren't reliable, hydraulics don't ride good, hydraulics, all of the horror stories, a lot of that comes from things that are usually done incorrectly. And what I mean by that is really bad habits and methods that people go about when they're building these things that make them sketchy. I have charged these batteries, let's just say, twice a year. I'm not even exaggerating. And most of the time I can hop in it and take it wherever I want. As of now, finally, I had some solenoids that went bad. I think 2-ish years ago, I had a slowdown that cracked. Other than that, I really can't think of anything that I've done to this at all since then. So right now, everything's obviously getting power because the rear is going up and down. So we just need to figure out why the front isn't going up and down. And usually whenever you hear that clicking noise, it means that you have a solenoid that's burnt up. So we just need to replace them. I don't mess with the solenoids. It's not worth the time to take all of them off and figure out which one is good and which one is bad, because if one goes bad and they're in a series of 3, 4, however many you need, most likely the other ones are to follow. I don't take a chance up for it. I just replace them. It's a cheap peace of mind and you don't have to think about it or worry about them. Again, they've been on there for a long time now, and this is the first time they've acted up. This is a little different looking than what you would normally see because most of the time everything is mounted to the pumps. Instead, I rerouted and put the slowdowns, the dumps, and the accumulators up there just to give it a cleaner, more symmetrical look. That's the cool thing about hydraulics is, I don't know if you can see that bird, but every time I try and talk, that guy's just yapping. All right, he flew away. We can try and get something done here. Find it easier just to get in rather than trying to mess with this. Bending over the whole time outside of the car. To give a brief explanation of this, and I will go into detail, especially when we start putting hydraulics on that guy, putting hydraulics on that guy. Keep in mind, every time you go from positive to negative, you're going up in voltage, and every time you do that, you need to add another solenoid. In this setup, I'm running 48 volts to the front and 48 volts to the rear. All of the batteries are tied to each other. Even though there's 8, it's still only 48 volts. You can basically choose your voltage wherever you want, but for street cars, I've always just ran 48 because it's simple, and obviously the longevity of these motors, I've had good luck at a 48. These are 12 volt motors. Some websites say 24. They're 12 volt motors. They're liftgate pump motors. That's all they are. They just send them somewhere and get them chromed. I've successfully ran them off 48 for years on many, many projects. And every time I start recording, something drives past my house that doesn't have exhaust on it. I mounted the solenoids under here, so they're hidden from everything. And I think most of this is my fault. I don't know if y'all have noticed, I live right against the woods. My house is on a busy street, but the woods are right there. So all of the critters from the woods usually make their way into my yard and then into my cars. There's a couple places on the Caprice where they could easily get in, so it makes it for an easy place to basically have babies, poop everywhere, and tear up the interior. So pretty much every time I end up trying to take this out, which is only a couple times a year, there is mouse poop everywhere, and I've tried to stop it with traps and bad stuff for them, and regardless, they still make it in here, and I just deal with it. But usually that just turns into me rinsing out the trunk with the garden hose, because there's nothing in here. There's no carpet, there's nothing in here. But you can see, like, I've cleaned this already this year. They've already made their way in, and there's probably some inside of there. I wouldn't be surprised, but there's always poop everywhere. But regardless, we're gonna take these off real quick and swap them over to some fresh ones and see what we get. So while we're messing with that, I got a couple battery terminals that have battery acid corrosion on them. So I'm gonna hit them with some battery cleaner stuff, and this stuff just dissolves all the battery acid. You can do the same thing with vinegar. I just don't like using vinegar because it smells awful. That's probably good. The rest of them look pretty decent. You can actually see it melting away all of the nastiness. So like I said, every time you go up in voltage, the best rule of thumb is to add another solenoid. So this being a bank of 48, you can get away with 1 to 2 with 24 volts. 36, you need at least 2. 48, you need 3. So that's what we're going with, is the 3. I am going to just start with new hardware because this stuff looks pretty rough. Again, this is very straightforward. All we're doing is linking them together. They have these long nuts that have basically the same thread on both sides to where you can tighten these things together. So the reason that I use the older style solenoids like this, and I will forever use the older style solenoids like this, if you are ever stranded, you can go to the parts store and you can ask for literally any old Ford truck solenoid. If you ask for a 79 F-150 solenoid, this is what they're going to give you. It might not be a great brand, but it'll get you home, and it'll probably last you a long time anyway. Accumax's is just kind of like a industry standard at this point. These are still starter solenoids. They still sell these at parts stores, this brand. It's just, you can buy them in bulk offline from lowrider shops, and they are good quality. And like I said, I've ran them on a whole lot of cars. They sell, if you're getting into lowriding, or if you're getting into just making a car go up and down, if you're getting into lowriding, or if you just want to make a car go up and down and you don't want to do anything crazy, if you want to use hydraulics at all, I highly recommend just sticking with this old style solenoid. If they sell these really long solenoids that basically can handle 36 volts all by themselves, I never recommend them because you can't buy them at a store. You have to buy them offline. I've never seen any place that you can buy them locally anywhere. these, again, any parts store should carry one of these in stock. Any of them. Because these are so common. And they're super easy to replace. It took seconds. So we're going to get down in there. I'm going to run a wire brush against all my connections because, again, me spraying this with a hose and cleaning it has caused a bunch of corrosion. Don't breathe that. So let me get this all hooked back up and hopefully we're back in business. I'm pretty sure that motor's still good and that clicking I'm getting is just these guys here. Well, I've been putting it off for a long time, like years and years, and I say to my friends all the time, I am really surprised how long the batteries have lasted in the Caprice. But I got everything hooked up, everything is functional, but I got a bad battery. All the other ones are low. I think I'm just gonna avoid what I've been doing and just charging them up every so often and letting them go. I think it's time that I finally buy new ones. These are refurbished batteries from 2018. It means they were already old and returned and recharged and resold before I bought them in 2018. So everything works. It goes up and down. I'm trying to get a hold of Interstate Demand tomorrow. Try and get some batteries, which is not going to be good because they are expensive. Back in the day, in 2018, and before that, refurbs were 50 bucks a piece. Refurbs are 75 or 80 a piece now. And with this is really terrible recording outside of your garage. There's been 20 ambulances today and about 400 rounds of ammunition shot. And then a screaming child through the other side of the road. It's terrible. But yeah, hopefully the interstate guy can hook it up and I can get some batteries this week. Because other than that, we're good to go. I'm going to take a little time, give this thing a little spit shine. It's supposed to rain all week long. So in between the rain, pretty much I just clean the windows and make sure that the Astro Supremes are clean. Maybe wipe the trunk down. Other than that, I don't care. I don't pop the hood. There ain't nothing to see under there except for old crusty 305 with some headers. But yeah, I think that's about it for this weekend. We didn't really get much done, but I had some stuff I wanted to explain. And yeah, that's terribly. I don't know where I left off because I keep shutting the camera off because of all the noise. But this is what we got. It's really, really slow because those batteries are trash. So I think that's going to do it for this week. We got a lot of stuff explained. Yeah, I think that's about it. Do all normal YouTube things. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those things. And I'll see you on next Sunday. And we'll be driving the Caprice to a rat rod show, hot rod, rockabilly thing. So stay tuned. Come back for more. I'm rambling. Yeah, we'll see you next week.